looking for developers is always difficult. You can hire your own team, you can hire an agency that can help you with that, but how sure can you be that those developers that you will hire eventually will be matching your company culture, and most importantly, if they will have good skills?
Yeah, and there's also the issue of recruitment itself. Like, through our years of experience, we have learned that recruitment is, I would say, one of the hardest parts of running engineers team. So you have to have good skills in recruitment in order to find the right people. So if you go with an agency, you don't have to think about that. And the second part, which is also, most people forget about it, is managing the team itself. So even if you recruit the right people, IT world is strange, I would say, and different than other type of.
A little bit spoiled.
I wouldn't say spoiled, but it's employees market. So you really have to be careful about how you run the company, how you manage people, how you manage their learning curve, stuff like that, and it's not easy. So again, if you don't have any experience in that and you are just thinking to hire people because you have some software development needs, you should be very careful about that. And the way I would usually approach it is start with an agency, and if having in our team in the future, go with an agency and try to learn from them how they do the things and how they run the things, and be also transparent with the agency and tell them at the beginning that you are willing to have your own team in the end. So if you find the right one, they will also help you manage this process. So it will be less painful because they will know from the start that their cooperation has an expiration date, and they can guide you through the most difficult things, or even sometimes help you with recruitment of the first people and onboard them, and then you can start building like a successful team.
Yeah. The other thing is that it lasts a long time before you find that good match, that perfect person that you would like to hire. And if you hire a software house, it's easier because it's a faster process.
Yeah.
It's easier for a software house to find a good match for you, because there are teams waiting on standby or finishing another project with already tested skills.
Yeah.
So I believe that if we're talking about a company that had some projects already, and those developers, so you can be sure that there are no coincidences here, and those people were recruited with a special process. And that's another thing, that software houses, they have their own internal process. We also have.
Yeah. And you mentioned another very important thing is the team itself. So when you're hiring people, you are not hiring teams. You just hire people, and then you have to build the team, which takes time, and we know it takes time. And if you hire a software company, even if you don't hire people that worked with themselves before directly, they were still working in the same culture, in the same environment, so they are already team ready, I would say. They know how to work with each other, so you don't have to teach them that. So like you can start actually from signing the agreement, you can start the development in like 1-2 weeks, for example, because you don't have to care about this team building stuff and this managing people and their expectations and their experience, because somebody does that for you. And in the process you can learn how to do it, but it's really
responsibility less, because if you need to care about your product, you need to care about the office, you need to care about the clients and sales, etc., then when you also have to care about HR and recruitment and checking the skills, then verifying the skills in real life in the project, so then it's a lot of work. So then you need to start hiring another person to manage those employees.
Exactly.
You hire HR people, you hire sales people, etc. So when you hire an agency, when you hire a software house, the only thing that you need to care about is to have good communication with that team.
A good backlog.
Good backlog. Of course, it's a lot of work too, but it's less of a preoccupation,
Yeah, but it's already a lot of work to do. Actually, most people don't think about it, but it's already a huge amount of work to prepare a good backlog and to create the things on the client side to be ready to develop. So I don't see much point in adding extra work to actually managing the team. you should just focus on the thing you have to focus. So on creating the product, on creating the vision, and leave the rest to professionals that already have, are prepared for that.
Yeah, another thing is being on the same page with developers. Sometimes developers are slightly different, meaning like they're different people, they think in a different way than, for example, a CEO of a company, CEO of a startup. So the communication can be difficult. Of course, it's not a rule. It depends on what kind of people you choose during the recruitment, or what you say to an agency that recruits people for you. But when you hire an agency, so then you have a project manager. So it also helps, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we didn't mention project manager, but this is another huge role that you have a person that manages everything on the developer's side, and you have like single point of contact. Of course, you can reach to the developers themselves in most of the companies, but still you have single point of contact that takes care of everything that's needed for the developers. So, the project manager role is kind of also to make, developers happy about the way they work. So they do everything they can to support them with all the information they need to do the development itself.
Exactly, and also there's another important factor, that is that these people know each other. They're like friends, colleagues. They respect each other.
Before,
they know what to expect from each other, so they understand how they should talk, how they should meet. The whole process in the company is already set up, so it's simply easier. Yeah. And when you have to build it from scratch on your own, of course, most likely you will succeed at some point, but it will take time. And in some cases, especially with startup products, there's no time to lose.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, we are talking about all the cases where you actually should hire an agency, but from my point of view, there's like this small amount of projects that are capable of hiring their own people, but still those kind of companies, so they already have a culture, they already probably have some kind of engineering team, they have recruitments, management process in place, hopefully, but still those companies can look for an extension. So imagine there's a startup, and it's actually a real case. There's a startup that has already like 70-80 people on board, engineers, but with startups, especially if they get a huge funding, time is the issue, always. Time is always the issue. So they got a funding and they need to develop some kind of feature, they need to do some extra projects related to their product, but kind of on site. And they still need to recruit, and recruitment takes time. So they can still go to software house like ours and say that, hey guys, we want to build another project that is related to our product. And we just want to outsource it because we want to make it happen fast. We want to start next week. We get inquiries like that they need to start next Wednesday, for example. They already have a lot of engineers. They know how to manage them. It's not a problem. It's just the time. So they need to find a company that will actually take care of this part of the system, and then either finish the cooperation because that was just what they needed, or extend it for other type of projects. So that's also the case. For hiring software house, even if you have culture in place and HR in place. And
the other thing is that you can read about software houses and their quality on professional review sites like Clutch, for example. We are on Clutch. We are also recently on Good Firms. So you can there see actually what people think about the quality of work and quality of development. We are talking about a freelancer, so of course, if that's somebody that was recommended to you by somebody else, your friend, your colleague, your coworker, etc. So that also can work, and we of course never say that it's impossible. But with software houses, you have clear statements given by people from different countries, different types of companies, and in our case, of course, not just to show off. People say that the quality of developers is constant, and this is something that we strive to do, to make sure that our not only our quality of the code is good, because that's obvious that it needs to be good, but the quality of people that we hire and the quality of the communication that is between those developers, project managers, and the client, because we believe I believe that it's one of the most important things. It's not only the code, it's also the attitude,
Yeah, of course.
and all the non-technical things that people forget about.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And the last thing I would mention, also related to software houses, is that not only you can check the clutch reviews and stuff like that, you can also it doesn't relate to all of the software houses, but to some of them it does, and actually it relates to us. You can also check like their internal things they do, so open sources, so you can look if they post anything on YouTube, some lightning talks, some blog posts. And by going through that, even like on a surface level, you can see if the people who are hired, they know what they are talking about, if they are being followed, if they are being read, if they share actually some important knowledge around, because this also shows what type of processes this company has, and if the people that work there are actually learning and getting better at what they do.
Yeah, that's something very important. The constant development of your personnel, not only growing as a company, but growing meaning like taking care of the education and all those things.
The last thing I would say is that it's not a lie if I would say that every software house says that they have the best quality. That's a given. Every software house says, we have the best people, we have the best quality. But this, what I mentioned, is actually the way to check it. Because if you have two companies and both of them say they have great code, so you can go to see the reviews of the clients. That's one thing, of course. But the second thing, you can go to see what people are actually doing, like kind of outside of work. And if the other company has nothing to show for in this area, I would say, then there's a question mark. Are they doing anything and not showing it, or they are actually not doing anything and the people are not growing? So this is the last thing I would mention.